Well, you're famously known for your prediction of the fentanyl crisis. And I'd be curious about what safeguards you think are important for us as we develop psychedelic use as a treatment to ensure that we don't have another drug epidemic that unfolds because of it. I'm thinking a little bit about what's been going on in California with ketamine abuse on the rise.
Yes, and we have a very large body of people that are new, if you will, to psychedelics, millions more being attracted to the mainstreaming coming in. We have internet availability of so many analogs, one propionyl LSD, one acetyl LSD, every variety, R-ketamine, S-ketamine, every variety of drug known to man is now readily available on Bitcoin trading platforms on the net, what have you. My suggestion to young people, the 18 to 24-year-old cohort that is very experimental, is that one should treat these things as sacraments, use them with intentionality, with friends, respect the power of it, and not just go from one analog, one substance to the next. Oh, I took this. Oh, I took that. Oh, I took this, and be consumed entirely with thoughts of drugs and drug taking. His life is so richer, so broader. There's so much love around people, ideas, futures, that to be sunken into a taking drug quagmire is like a tragic loss of mind, heart in life. And that can occur even in psychedelics, where one takes a different analog every week off the net, a type of poly drug abuse, if you will. So I think these things should be used rarely and well, thoughtfully, respectfully, with good friends or a therapist, with a certain reverence. Walk in that path, and one will be safe and take home something of a blessing. But in the end, I think one of the beauties of these substances is that they're self-attenuating, they're self-limiting. As opposed to say cocaine, where's the next line, or heroin, I need my fix, or nicotine, or what have you. You get to a point where the insight is so strong, and that may be a negative experience, that you stop. And you may go away from them for many years or forever. Some dear friends here, some screenwriter friends here in Santa Fe, two of them just mentioned their early experiences in their youth, and then their hiatus from psychedelics for 50 years, and now in their 70s, with mature minds and a lifetime of experience, they've taken it anew and found it even more deeply instructive than in their 20s. But I in my book, The Rose of Paracelsus, and whenever I speak to groups of young experimentalists, I remind them that ultimately, after all these powerful experiences and all these dazzling displays of mind and heart, all these phenomena, that really the most beautiful gift, the greatest gift, is just the natural mind, the mind that we had when we were 8 or 9 years old, before our first sip of tea or coffee, before our first joint, before whatever drugs that we experimented with or got into. That mind, it's fresh and new and pure, and that is who we are. Deep down inside these many layers of extreme experiences, that is who we are. A child, a pure child. And that is the great gift, that mind that's untouched, it's unmoved, it's not pushed around by any drug, any stimulant, any depressant. It is just the pure mind, the greatest gift of all. And ultimately, over the course of one's life, although all these experiences are very entertaining and perhaps very helpful, how wonderful to come home again, to come back to oneself as a child, even though one may be quite aged, and find the peace and purity of that.
I love hearing that from you. I think that so many of us who have suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune lose sight of the fact that there's a part of us that has been unchanged and untouched by the difficult things we've been through. I wonder how that plays out for you, given your experience with the criminal justice system and your life after, if you care to talk about that.
We can do that a little bit. I really don't. I'm often asked about prison. People seem to find it fascinating. I have no idea what that's all about, but it may explain a lot of what Hollywood is all about. I don't even after those devastating, crushing, humiliating, brutal decades, I don't really during the day think about it or revisit it or generally don't dream of it, because why go back? The present is magnificent. We are in an era that is unheralded in human history. We can talk to people in any part of the globe instantly for free. We have access at our fingertips to all the world's information, all of mankind and womankind's information. We have the wonderful new AI mechanisms driving us forward. We have advances in genetics, positive new analogs that are happening, ways of communicating. The arts are exploding, literature, dance, religious practices worldwide. It's like, to me at least, although the world may seem mundane and rote to one who hasn't been in a cave for decades, to me it is a glorious day, an awakening day, each day. And I think it is for many people worldwide, especially if we recognize this precious moment that we're at the end of history and the beginning of all the future. And it's just us in this lonely little planet on the edge of a forgotten galaxy. And here we have some minds and intelligence and heart, and we can create the future. We can create a beautiful future for this dying planet. We can save it. We can magnify it. What a joyous gift.
That was beautiful. And I recognize that is probably a question that you get frequently. Maybe a question that you get less frequently is, sometimes I wonder about what your life was like back when you allegedly produced 97% of the world's LSD. Would you care to share a little bit about the wild, glamorous life of an alleged LSD manufacturer?
No one's ever asked me that before. No one's ever really asked me what was the life like. I personally think if I were, a young person, I would want to know about that. I wouldn't want to know about prison.
No, I know. That's a much more interesting part of your story.
What did you do all day long with 100 million hits running around the world? Who are you hanging out with? What was all? Did you vote Republican? Yes. Well, the lifestyle was, of course, very esoteric.
Really? I would think it would be.
Well, we certainly one tried to look extremely normal because it was a security issue, and the safest thing would be not to be noticed.
Oh, okay.
So there are no capes or tattoos or long hair or implements or no effort to stand out or distinguish ourselves as goth or what have you, or anything other than looking absolutely normal and absolutely forgettable,
Mm.
because that was the only way to survive. So no one remembered you.
Mm.
Of course, the one had multiple identities. So the government says many, many identities, credentialed and all that sort of thing. So one might find oneself checking into a hotel after being there several times, and then the staff going, "Hello, Mr. So-and-so," and then the other staff going, "Hello, Mr. So-and-so," with a completely different name.
Wow.
Because you'd been there under different names, that sort of thing. In terms of personal life, in terms of, say, one's love life, in terms of relationships, it's such a difficult subject. Of course, there was sensuality beyond dreams, sensuality, tantric practices. There was great openness, freedom, sharing, this sort of thing. But when it came down to intimacy with one person, one lover, one had to make the decision: do you reveal all of this to this person, which might scare them? Or do you not reveal it, in which case one is leading a life of deception with one's loved one? So that was extremely difficult. It was the deception, I believe, that perhaps was the greatest cross to bear. If one were a clandestine chemist committing a felony every second of the day for many years, one was separate from society, although within society. One looking perfectly normal, walking along a street with a briefcase and a long coat, but the briefcase might contain 10 million doses of LSD. And there are 100 different enforcement intelligence agencies wishing they could find you. And so that sort of thing was like being a spy inside the United States. But it was the inability to say what one did, to discuss it with friends. For much of my life, my friends could be counted on the fingers of my hand that knew. But
What did people think you did?
well, what do you say? When say, what do you do? Well, I never quite got that covered.
I'm a spy in the US sounds pretty good.
No. I never quite managed that well. But then I tried to avoid situations where I'm close enough so someone would ask me that. And since that's a normal thing to ask a person, that means the social isolation was very protracted and very painful. And of course, one of the beauties about being in this new era is the many new friends in which one can actually say, "What do you do?" "Well, I do this." Rather immediately, and tell the truth. And that feels great. I like having IDs with my name on it.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So you always know who you are. So I feel much more relaxed and happy, I think, and excited at this point in my life than even the heady psychic whirlwinds of the underground life for 40 years.
Well, it seems hard to imagine, I mean, what could be better than being able to be your full whole self to everyone you meet? I think that,
Exactly.
for all of us, that's what we aim for, is to be.
Of course. Yeah. So, I'm delighted. I'm delighted with the many loving people that I know, new friends that I have, and the exciting projects that are happening. And
Wonderful.
Complete them without darting into a phone booth or looking over my shoulder.
Clean living, freedom at last, right? And I guess changing culture has a lot to do with that as well, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And knowing people like you, and your work, and in TOS and your ketamine therapy, I think that shows a great promise. And I'm delighted with the direction psychiatry is taking and the many people that are dedicating their lives therein. 10 years ago, the idea of doing anything with psychedelics or psychoactives was anathema and death academically. So people like you are showing students a possible promising future. Students tend to get turned on to these things, you get all excited, but now they're jobs, legal jobs and honorable jobs. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all of the support and encouragement that you've offered to me over the years. It's really, I think, been helpful and a wonderful connection to have a thread with the early days and your insights on what is coming up and what you're excited about is always like one of my favorite conversations to have with you about what we can expect in the future, including ChatGPT. Everyone should know that Leonard is the one that turned me on to ChatGPT, which has now become a huge part of my life.
Well, try Bard.
Bard too. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Compare them and see how it goes in.
Oh, good. Well, Leonard.
Thank you, and good to see you, Anne.
Likewise. Thank you.
Very best of the holidays. Bye.
Bye.